Hallelujah, hallelujah. Blessings, family. Bless up. Peace, love, light, healing, and balance of the faithful elect. Shalom, Nazarenes. Feast of Dedication, day 3. We see what's going on. The crown of martyrdom. We're going to get back into the 4th Maccabees and read about the mother and 7 sons. Before we start, though, I'm going to play like a 14-minute clip. The psychology of martyrdom. Psychology of martyrdom. You're going to listen to that for about 14 minutes, then we're going to jump right into the 4th Maccabees and get it done. All praises, glory, and honor to the Most High. Happy Feast of Dedication to you, brothers and sisters. I pray y'all stay in the spirit, stay in the faith, and stay away from that compromising spirit. Be uncompromising in these hours. You understand? None of us want to become an enemy or a target of the Almighty by, Hellenizing ourselves, romanticizing ourselves, or becoming something that we are not. All right? So all praise and glory now to the Most High. I love all you brothers and sisters indeed and true. Let me share this real quick. Blessings to the house of Nehemiah. Nehemiah, you got something for us, brother? What's going on with you?
Oh, man, everything's feeling good in the Hebrew hood.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Everything's feeling right on this Israelite nights.
Absolutely.
Or a day the way we rock. But no, man, I can't say nothing, man, but feeling good, feeling very jubileic. That's a new word this man.
Okay. That is a new word. That's yours?
It's jubileic.
Let's time stamp it right now. 6:32 Central Standard Time.
Jubileic.
What is this? December the 13th, Gregorian, 2021. Jubileic. That's
definition.
Copyright. What's the definition?
Feeling joyous and jubilee.
Oh, like freedom. The feeling of joy that comes from freedom.
And the jubilee.
Jubilee.
Hey, boy, Hebrews can make up some stuff, boy.
Jubilee. Now, that's all you. Sign, stamp, and seal, my brother. Praise.
It's recorded in infamy.
Look at Marcus say Jubilee. I'm taking it.
Hey! Oh, legalistic, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, put it on the shirt, Marcus, man. You know it, man.
Oh, and then with his little logo.
Yeah.
It'll fit right on his logo.
Heavenly Psychotic.
Jubilee.
Jubilee.
Marcus Israel. Shalom.
Shalom. All right, let's get her done real quick. I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick with y'all. All praises. Peace, love, light, healing, and balance to you, brothers and sisters. Let's get her done. Let's get her done. 14-minute clip real quick. It's by a heathen, but it's the psychology of martyrdom. All right. In other words, the mindset, the study of the mind when it comes to martyrdom. All right. It's on TED Talks. Some of y'all may know what TED Talks is. All right. Mute my background. Let's get it.
For thousands of years, theologians, philosophers, and dramatists have attempted to comfort us from the inevitable tragedy that awaits us all, death. Some believe in an afterlife, others prefer to enjoy it while it lasts, but regardless of how we cope with the truth, at some level, we're all preoccupied by the coming of death, the moment where the matter that constitutes our body stops doing its job. But what if I were to tell you that some people do not dread death? In fact, if they were given the opportunity to die, they would probably take it in a heartbeat. But how's that possible? And who are these people? Well, it turns out in the last decade, psychologists like me have started to peer inside the mind of those that believe that dying for a cause is a worthy act. And today, I would like to tell you how the fear of death can be conquered. I'd like to tell you why some people are willing to defend that which they cherish the most, even if they have to relinquish their lives for it. If I may be so bold, what I would like to submit to you today is that within all of us, there's a switch that can be turned on, a mechanism that makes us all prone to making the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of a cause. What is a switch? What is it made of? How can you turn it on or off? These are the type of questions that my colleagues and I have set ourselves to answer, trying to understand the psychology of self-sacrifice, also known as martyrdom. What really spurred this research was trying to understand what makes terrorists tick. And of course, we knew that terrorists had been trained to be ticking bombs because some of them had strap explosives around their chest. They blew themselves up and they tried to kill as many people as possible. But psychologically, I wanted to find out how they came up with that decision and where they found the willpower to press that detonator. So, of course, terrorists are hard to come by. They typically don't sign up to our psychological experiment. So when I first started doing this work, my goal was to develop or devise different ways of measuring people's willingness to die for a cause. So we asked thousands of people to name a cause that was dear to their heart, and then we asked them to what extent they'll be willing to suffer and perhaps even die for it. And of course, we found many individual differences, but some people really had scores off the charts. For example, when I surveyed the local football team at the University of Maryland, the Terrapins, all players, without any exception whatsoever, reported that they would be willing to put their health on the line if that meant helping their teammate become victorious. Also, were they to get injured, all of them, without any exception, were willing to lie to their doctors in order to get back straight on the field and help their team become victorious. So these people were really on a mission. But then we set up an experiment in which we asked people, how much hot sauce would you actually eat? If for every teaspoon of hot sauce we give you, we'll also give $1 to a charity of your choice, whatever kind. And then we checked whether they would walk the walk, and we gave them the spiciest sauce you could ever imagine. And we found that by and large, people willingly went through this painful experience if that meant defending an important cause to them, whether it was, reducing poverty within their community, saving the environment, helping animal rights. The cause didn't matter that much. But 35 teaspoons of hot sauce, that's a record in case you're wondering. But obviously, the epitome of self-sacrifice is not eating some sort of hot sauce. It's blowing yourself up for a cause. And as you may have surmised, it's a phenomenon that gets a bit messy to study in the lab. So essentially, to circumvent that problem, I created a video game in which people can blow themselves up virtually in order to save humanity from impending annihilation. We call it the boom task, for the lack of a better word. In that task, they were told, you have a bomb belt strapped around your chest, and the joystick you're holding in your hand is the detonator. And upon seeing a threat, they're instructed to blow themselves up as rapidly as possible to accomplish their mission. And we found that people did so in less than half a second, without any hesitation whatsoever. But I think what's fascinating, when we start to dig a bit deeper, what we found is that blowing oneself up for a cause is not even unique to humans. Entomologists have found that carpenter ants too blow themselves up when fighting against their arch nemesis, the termites. When they're about to lose the fight against the termites, carpenter ants contract the abdomen until their body wall splits open, and compounds from the mandibular gland are ejected onto the limbs and the body of the predator, a gruesome phenomenon called autotesis. Well, that led us to think, what is the motivation behind self-sacrifice? Could parallels be drawn between ants and humans? And if so, what would be the ingredient that would make someone walk into the jaws of death? And what an amazing opportunity to find answers to these questions when my colleagues and I, including Ari Kuglansky, Michelle Gelfand, Ron Gunaratna, and so many others, got involved into a project where we could survey thousands of terrorists located in Southeast Asia. There were Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka. There were jihadists in the Philippines. And for social scientists like us, this was like hitting the proverbial jackpot. And for years, we studied them, and we believe that we have found 3 major ingredients that foster self-sacrifice. We call these the 3 N's. The first N refers to need. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the need to belong, the need to matter, to be respected in the eyes of others. It is humans' most profound motivation, the need to feel significant. It's what we crave. It's what drives us to achieve great things and persist when things get tough. The need for significance is not some sort of airy-fairy philosophical concept. It has profound psychological implications for individuals. For example, we know from neuroscientific evidence that the brain correlates associated with physical pain and social pain are identical. In other words, losing significance deeply hurts. And this is why when we lose it, we do about anything to restore it. The need for significance, our yearning for growth, meaning, self-fulfillment, is a switch that can be turned on in many different circumstances. For example, when we feel alienated and marginalized, when we fail at something that's important to us, like an IQ test, or more generally, when we feel devoid of purpose and feel meaningless. When that switch gets turned on, few of us gets paralyzed. On the contrary, we become motivated to overcome the challenges we face. And I call this, ladies and gentlemen, the Rocky effect. Yes, the Rocky effect. Like in all Rocky movies, after taking all the punches that life throws at you, you want to make a comeback and become victorious. It's exactly what we find in the lab. When people fail at something that's important to them, like an IQ test, their willingness to risk life and limbs for a cause goes up tremendously. And the consequence of fighting back, of coming back stronger, is that when you defend an important cause, it re-injects meaning back into your life. But when fighting back on your own is not possible, then you have to team up. You have to join a group. And therefore, the second end of our theory is a social network in which people are embedded. What psychologists have found is that in times of hardship, people turn to groups in order to fulfill their significance. Why groups, you may ask? When we join a group, we feel we belong, gives us meaning, we feel powerful. Sometimes the group even gives us resources. And so what psychologists have found is that the person, when someone joins a group, his or her identity fuses with the social identity of the group. The person comes to experience a sense of oneness with other group members. And these group members progressively become like family. And when this transformation in the self occurs, something wonderful happens. People feel empowered. There's strength in numbers. The fear of death vanishes from the mind. And so, like the ants, if their network gets in danger, they too become willing to self-sacrifice in order to defend it. But embedded in such a group, there's also an ideological component, a narrative. And that's the third end of our theory. The narrative essentially is composed of the norms and the social value of one groups. And these ideas permeate the self. And what scholars have found is that these narrative essentially prescribes what one needs to do in order to get significance. And those that sacrifice everything at the behest of these ideological imperatives are elevated to a legendary status. This is why we call them heroes and martyrs. However, not all narratives are created equal. Some narratives appear more worthy of sacrifice than others. And scholars have recently introduced the notion of sacred values to refer to these narratives that have the necessary psychological hook to imbue their adepts with great determination to defend them. Sacred narratives, sacred values include both secular and religious ideas such as Islam, Christianity, ancestral land, democracy, human rights. And what's fascinating is that when people adhere to these narratives, they don't care anymore about the cost or the benefit of their behavior. They care about what feels right. And what feels right often means extreme aggression against the detractor of one's narrative. Now, to summarize, people transition from wanting significance to joining a powerful social network to which they become fused, which leads them to adhere to sacred narrative or sacred values. And so far, I've only discussed how need, network, and narratives are important driving forces behind suicide terrorism. But that's only half of the story. The other half of the story is that the same ingredient, the power of the three N's, can also be harnessed for peace building and conciliation. In other words, the ingredients that fuel radicalization toward violence and self-sacrifice are the same as those that produce movement toward moderation. How do we know this? Well, it turns out that my colleagues and I have studied whether it's possible to de-radicalize, to rehabilitate terrorists by addressing their three N's. Specifically, over a 5-year period, we'd follow more than 11,000 Tamil Tigers that were part of such a program in order to reintegrate civil society. The need element was addressed by treating them with respect and dignity, by calling them beneficiaries as opposed to criminals, killers, or terrorists, and all these different types of labels that would have greatly stigmatized them. They were also part of different vocational training programs in order to learn a new trade to reintegrate civil society as a respectable member of society. The network element was addressed by helping them reconnect with their families, which they had often left in order to join the social movement. Last but not least, the narrative was addressed through dialogues and discussion about the ineffectiveness of war and the importance of tolerance and coexistence. We gave them psychological surveys throughout their stay in the rehabilitation center, and the data taught us two major things. The first thing that we learned is that providing vocational training to these people greatly helped them disengage from violence. But the second teaching was even more fascinating. When you treat these people with dignity and respect, in other words, when you fulfill their need for significance, their ability to leave terrorism behind is stronger. The de-radicalization effect were much stronger. This shows that as much as the significance quest can propel individuals to join radical organization, its power can also be harnessed for peace building and conciliation. Now, in recent years, we've seen a surge in violent extremism across the globe. Young men and an increasing number of women have joined social movements in order to assuage their grievances. But we now know that redirecting the youth search for meaning towards something pro-social and peaceful is possible. But ladies and gentlemen, we have yet to do it. While the youth is searching for adventure, power, and absolute, we've been preaching abstention, moderation, and safety. In other words, our failure to understand the psychology of self-sacrifice has mitigated our ability to promote peace and conciliation within our society. Rather, I believe we need to help the youth find meaningful ways of becoming respectable members of our society. To reach these goals, our society needs to be much more inclusive on many levels, socially, economically, politically. We need to fight marginalization and social alienation by removing the barriers that prevent some of our group members within our society from taking part in the governance process of our institution. The importance of this mission is absolutely conspicuous as we live in an increasingly splintered yet fundamentally interdependent world. This is a bit of a cliche, I must say, but I don't think it has ever been truer. We need to keep investing in our youth. Otherwise, terrorist group will, because they need the youth in order to carry out their gruesome agendas. Thank you very much.
All right, that right there was on TED Talks, the psychology of martyrdom. One thing I found interesting, though, he was like, when you treat people with dignity, then they be less prone to violence or martyrdom, right? But that's the exact thing that these heathens didn't do with us when it came down to the honor code of dedication, did it?
So that means his premise is off because even regardless of how they treated us, martyrdom was made.
Martyrdom was made, exactly.
Even during the time of Mashiach.
Exactly, big dog.
Even during the time of Eleazar. Mother and Son, beautiful eulogy.
Yeah.
Even the time of Mother and the Seven Sons, we read today. Now I do deal with some of the stuff he said as far as the narrative. Because the narrative is important. Right? Because it's going to inspire you to rise to that place of self-sacrifice. You feel me? So, but the conditions, again, excuse me for being the way I am. A heathen trying to drop the knowledge of old earth into us. Don't make
no, you ain't got ain't no excuse. Ain't no excuse.
You know.
One thing he said was see, what's ironic is he said when we find out we treat people with dignity, they be less prone to martyrdom and all that. My point was that's exactly what the heathens didn't do here. That wasn't no type of dignity
at all.
So you understand why martyrdom is on the table. You know what I mean? You understand wholeheartedly why it got to be on the table. Because again, y'all, when the ways of our power is under attack, and the covenant made with us is under attack, the temple is under attack, the altar is profane, then it's just time to stand on up. You understand? And a lot of brothers from the ancient way looked at death as the gateway to immortality.
Right.
And that it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Like today, our people fear it. It wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
It was crazy when you was in that hood life. It was cool to die for it. I was guilty.
Or even not even just hood life. Just
Or
anything that you find yourself.
Civil rights movement,
the army, the military. He asked about even down to the sports. Would you lie to your doctor? You understand, and say you wasn't injured, so you can get back out on that field and finish, you know what I mean, the game, or at least attempt to finish the game with your brothers, you dig, who you are basically going to war with or competing with against another squad.
So crazy. That's why that narrative part, probably grabbed me as true, but it's what the narrative means to you. Mm-hmm. You catch what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's what activates, to me, the martyrdom.
Absolutely.
Now, to sit there and say, I believe that we should marginalize everybody. One, that's an ideology of hypocrisy that they, never did, right?
All right.
Two, it sound good.
Yeah.
But there's no application of that.
And there's no such thing.
And you can't rise at it.
No, there's no such thing. Look, this earth. Look,
why would you need martyrdom if everything was marginalized?
Put it this way. He sound like he from somewhere in Europe, somewhere some Yugoslavia, some damn word. Anywhere, especially if you're dealing with the Western power, hell, even if you're dealing with Russia, power was gained by good old business ethics and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps and being politically correct and learning to love everybody. No, that ain't how. That's not how none of these heathens took power in this earth. You understand?
When they claimed their independence in 1774 or 5 and officiated in 76, these heathens took that shit by blood.
By blood. There was no.
Wait a minute. So same thing of the old world that they broke away from, took it by what?
Blood. That's
also
how it's always
been. Colonized the world.
It's always been like that. Go study all the Asian countries, the ancient Chinese cultures and all this. You know, there's a man called Sun Tzu who got a book called The Art of War. That's been out longer. I mean, look, there's been out longer than the Common Era. Huh? So yeah, it sounds good, but I always be wanting to hear what the enemy is saying. Nah, okay, that's what you believe. But look, he kept saying there's a theory out here about this.
Yeah, there's a theory out.
Yeah, so these are theories. You know what I'm saying?
Which means they are not science or observed facts.
It's not observed fact.
You
know what I mean? Absolutely. So right here, this is the 4th Maccabees we in. All right, and this is what's called a commentary on martyrdom, or the mother. If you read the Apocrypha, 2nd Maccabees chapter 7, you know about the mother and 7 sons, correct? Yesterday we read 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, and we read about Elder Eleazar and his martyrdom.
We did.
And we read his eulogy, right?
We did.
This right here is the next part of that, 4th Maccabees, all right? 7 brothers defy the tyrant. All right, let me highlight this. And again, y'all, this is day 3 of the Feast of the Dedication. All right. And every day we decide to come on, just real quick and just chop it up with our people. Neat. What you think about that?
I think it's important that we reconnect back with the spirit of our ancestors. Mm-hmm. Right? Because listen, the part that, and listen, I applaud Matter, because it takes something to sit to navigate through information and then chop it up with your bros and be like, bro, this is where I'm at. How you feel about, like, he don't never gun hold. He always like, hey bro, so how you feel about this?
Right.
What's this, man? Like, let's chop it up with the bros, see where everybody at. You know what I'm talking about? And we bounce off each other or gleam off each other. Mm-hmm. But just sidetrack. Okay. I really have an issue with your historical enemy telling you how to martyr someone, how you to come to the ultimate sacrifice of selflessness. Mm-hmm. He ain't never been selfless at all.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, again,
absolutely.
It was, some of the stuff was, I can take that. The narrative,
the
mortality.
There's nothing.
I get that.
There's nothing you're going to look at that you're going to agree with totality. Absolutely.
But that, no. Hey, listen, now what I do is this.
Yeah, we about to
when you are dealing with a tyrant, that's opposite of what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. This is in direct opposition.
That's right.
Of what he's talking
That's
about.
Right. It's good to
show the martyrdom.
It's good to show the
still there.
It's good to show the polar opposites.
And that's good.
Or the flip side of the coin. You Feel me?
Because it is a coin.
Yeah, he's right.
It has two sides.
That's right. So let's get into our history. All right. 7 brothers defy the tyrant. Yes, indeed, even the very young, by following a philosophy in accordance with holy reason, have prevailed over the most painful instruments of torture.
Ooh.
That must have hit you hard, Nehemiah. Talk to me, big homie.
Hey, bro. That it's like Eliezer we read yesterday, right? And we almost say he was burned. Like we had an element in the eulogy that showed us that he was probably put to the fire. You hear me? When somebody puts aside their own personal passion to lay down everything that they know in carnality and subject it to the full painful measure of torture, to the fact we say heroes are being born, I can agree with that, because here it is over 2 millennia later, we have a story.
Righteousness is immortal.
Boy, that was cold, Shabbat, boy.
Have prevailed over the most painful instruments of torture. For when the tyrant had been so conspicuously defeated in his first attempt, Eliezer, being unable to compel an aged man to eat unclean foods, then commanded in violent rage that others of the Hebrew captives.
Who captives?
Hebrew captives.
So no more marginalizing. Huh?
Nah.
This is full-blown oppress and violence and war.
That's right. That others of the Hebrew captives be brought, and that any who ate unclean food would be freed after eating. But if any were to refuse, they will be tortured even more cruel.
So flip from here, one your Hebrew captives. So that's telling you ain't under a free mind anyway. Here goes a second thing. Because reality, you a Hebrew captive today in this captivity. But here goes another story. Run that game all the way up to Jerome. Jerome of Damascus. Not Damascus, Damascus. Right? What did they do to torture those who didn't eat?
Pour hot molten lead down our throats. The Nazarene brothers who refused to eat flesh.
What have you learned over, at this time it wasn't quite a millennium, but over the hundreds of years? What did you learn? Your enemy have learned to defile you. Let the scriptures also show you in wisdom that you shall eat defiled what? Amongst the Gentiles, amongst the heathen. They learn, if I keep you defiled, I keep you separated from your God.
I keep you in bondage. I keep you in bondage.
Bro, for us to make a straight diuretic change on the feast of dedication in this year, in this time, this revealing who we are, what's going on, and the walk we should have in the Mashiach. This is the coldest dedication I ever had.
Boy, all praises.
This is the coldest dedication I ever had.
All praises, brother. All praises. You see that? It says, when the tyrant, Shalom family, when the tyrant had given these orders, 7 brothers, handsome, modest, honorable, and gifted in every way, were brought before him along with their aged mama. When the tyrant saw them, grouped about their mother as though of course he was pleased with them, and struck by their appearance and nobility, he smiled at them. I always watch the smiles. I always watch the diddly-do neighbors.
Hey, what they used to tell the young women back in the day, hey, be careful and you can't show your teeth to everybody.
That's right. That's right. Look at this. First thing he did was smile at them and summoned them nearer and said, young men, this is what the tyrant gonna say. Young men, I admire each and every one of you and want to show you favor. And since I have great respect for the beauty of such a large band of brethren, I not only advise you not to display the same madness as that of the old man, Eliezer, who has just been tortured.
What kind of smooth words are going on?
Don't it, boy? But I also urge you to yield to me and take advantage of my friendship.
Boy, that's the very thing that Maccabees, listen, when they came to defile the temple and talking about you'll be friends with the king. It'd be great for you. See, listen, man, beware of these enemies. Come burn gifts. Everything shown to you ain't good for you. Don't let nothing separate you from the love of the most. That's why it says that they tell this, not the what is it, love of money.
Yeah, love of money is the root
of all. Because why? Where your love is where your heart is. Or where your heart is where your what?
Treasure is.
And that's why when you get to the rich man in Matthew 19, he went away sorrowful because he couldn't separate himself from his what? His riches. Ain't that crazy, bro?
That is crazy.
So we said another aspect. So we are learning that your enemy learned that defiling your temple through foods, bro, we got to pay attention to it, especially where we at. Your enemy learned to defile you in your food and in your desire to be what? Wealthy and or accepted. Thus the gains that they had during the time of Maccabees. It was all about to come along and get along.
Yeah, you know, the smooth soliloquies.
Ooh, don't be like that old age, man.
Yeah,
Don't worry about
him.
him.
Loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, I want to be your friend.
Yeah, you know.
Boy, y'all some handsome jokers.
Diddly do neighbors.
Boy, hey, this is a very wicked enemy. And this enemy was here before you, is here right now.
That's right. Look at this. He said, but I also urge you to yield to me and take advantage of my friendship, just as I am able to punish those who disobey my orders. So
man,
go ahead.
Bro, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Bro, this sounds like the very conversation that Satan had with Hamashiach when he took him to the top. I give you all the glories. Because they are mine to give for a what? 8 times.
8 times.
All you have to do is what? Bow down and worship me.
That's it. That's it.
Bro, I'm telling you, your enemy, that's why I say is that when he ran across Christ, Hamashiach, and he hit him with that, which would have captivated most men. Boy, he had to. Oh, no. He had to. We got some false prophets out here. We got to defile this movie.
That's right. Now look at that. Able to punish those who disobey my orders, so I am able to benefit those who obey me. Believe me, therefore, when I tell you that if you only renounce the ancestral law, if you only renounce the ancestral law of your nation, you will receive high positions with authority in my affairs.
Right there is what most of you niggas would have went to work for the United States government.
Yeah, absolutely.
In their armies,
absolutely,
in their jobs, in their position. So you could be CEO, my fault, CFO, my fault, dumbo in their corporations.
Exactly. You'd have took it.
You'd have took it.
You'd have took that.
The bag.
Look at this.
Bro, these are the very Satan and the Mashiach conversations. Hidden brothers that they fool and they love for wealth and love for position.
And power and position. Exactly.
Bro,
that's crazy because
this is the black man's weakness.
Hey, you know what's crazy? The Greek culture is called hell. Hellenization.
Death. Great.
Hell. And largest his desire is hell, huh? Enjoy your youth by adopting the Greek way of life. What?
And
oh, man.
What a nigga.
Oh, God. He said, enjoy your youth by adopting the Greek way of life and by changing your mode of living.
And this is where the Negro is today. He's the greatest Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year, 4th of July, especially 4th. From 1852 to right now, it's a disgrace. Yeah. Let alone from the time of Mother and her 7 sons, and post that, Hamashiach, none of them cats ever got down with the Roman flag and colors. Oh, say Rome, you see.
Yeah, nah.
Bro, we never joined.
Nah.
I talked to a young sister. Her name was Justice. It was my car. I was talking to her. And I was telling her, I said, I know I ain't supposed to hate my enemy. I said, who taught you? Where do you see Israel praying for Egypt? Oh Lord, bless the gates of Egypt.
Nah, you don't see
and crown Pharaoh.
Babylon, Greece, Persia, Rome.
None of them.
None of the enemies are enemies.
Who taught you that? When you love your enemy, that's your neighbor. Yeah. That's like me and you have a beef. Yeah. We need to squash
enemies that. Of amongst your own.
Yeah, but bro.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm starting to see some straight light, a lot of pride.
Yeah, but you gonna see it. You gonna see it. And you gonna see it. You gonna see that shucking and jiving and going along to get along ain't did nothing but destroy us worse and worse. Hell of that. And look, now this run on automatic now. He's saying, enjoy your youth by adopting the Greek way of life and by changing your mode of living. But if by disobedience, though you rouse my anger, you will compel me to use dreadful punishments to destroy each and every one of you by torture. Therefore, take pity on yourselves, for even I, your enemy, feel compassion for your youth. God. Look at this, for your youth and handsomeness.
Oh my God, boy! Hey, this is a fourth heathen, bro. Sure is, he called himself a friend a few sentences earlier, and come right back to let you know
I'm your enemy. But I do have compassion for your youth and handsome. He keep calling him handsome.
And bro, and let you know that physical homosexual spirit of these people.
Yeah, what you doing calling another man handsome?
Why the so-called black man is starting to be made the poster boy of homosexuality.
You hear me? Handsome.
You can't get nowhere in Hollywood unless you got a gay aspect.
Man, bro.
I just watched the new episode of Power Ghost.
Yeah, I just said, man, bro, I had to turn it off.
Them niggas on the couch.
Bro, I had to turn that madness off, bro. I seen it.
I turned it off.
For even I, your enemy, feel compassion for your youth and handsomeness. Will you not consider this, that if you disobey, nothing remains for you but to die with torments? Now remember, y'all, the name of the class is the Crown of Martyrdom. All right, the Crown of Martyrdom is the name of the class. All right, to be martyred, to stand on it and even die for your beliefs and your strong convictions. All right, that's who the Most High is rolling with. He's not rolling with those who compromise and looking to go along to get along. He ain't never dealt with that spirit. Never dealt with that spirit. He looking for straight up soldiers, men and women, that's gonna stand. And we're gonna read about a sister today. Their mother. All right. With these words, he ordered the instruments of torture to be brought forward in order to persuade them out of fear to eat the unclean food. Now look at this. Fear is on the table, but we all know the Most High has not given us the spirit of fear. All right. When the guards had placed before them wheels and joint dislocators, rack and hooks and catapults and cauldrons and braziers and thumb screws. These heathens invented new ways to kill you, bro. And iron claws and wedges and bellows.
I gotta go outside real quick. Let the wife get in. Check this out. This is all world, right?
What?
Cauldrons, braziers, thumb screws, iron claws, wedges, bellows, rushes, catapults, hooks, dislocators. Now, what did Willie Lynch talk about? In the early part of slavery, they called upon what you think is facts and fiction, whatever. But listen, the means of torture the same. When they put them things on your head, you know what I'm saying? They and the thumb screws, these are real current world tortures. So this can't be fake history if it's repeated history.
Exactly.
That's all I want to bring out. That's all I want to bring out. You know what I'm saying?
I got
you. Can't make this up today. And this is over 2,000 plus years ago. And they use it today. From that thumb thing, that's real, right? That neck thing, when they put that thing on you with that neck when you was a slave, boy.
Yeah,
that mindset of getting your screw.
That yoke of iron. Right. Now look at this. When these words, with these words, he ordered the instruments of torture to be brought forward in order to persuade them out of fear to eat the unclean food. So even if death is on the table, in which it will be, you got to stand. The Most High is looking for those who stand up. When the guards had placed before them wheels and joint dislocators, rack and hooks, and catapults and cauldrons, those big old frying pans, braziers and thumb screws, and iron claws and wedges and bellows, the tyrant resumed speaking. Be afraid, young fellows. Whatever justice you worship will be merciful to you when you transgress under compulsion. You see that? He telling them, look, you better be afraid. Whatever it is you claim you worship, he'll forgive you once you go against him because of bodily pains and torture. All right? Bodily pains and torture. Now, here go a heathen trying to tell you about the character of your power. He said, be afraid. You looking at these joint dislocators and thumb screws and cauldrons and iron claws and wedges and bellows. He said, y'all need to be afraid. Whatever it is you claim you worship, he'll forgive you when you transgress under bodily pain and compulsion. This is the level you're dealing with. And this is why the brothers and sisters be going so hard against the pagan holidays and all that, y'all. Because we got brothers and sisters that died, you understand, standing up against this tyranny. Today is running on automatic. Shalom, sister. Today is running on automatic. You know what I mean? Nobody needs to threaten you into being a Greek. Men are Greeks. Hebrews are Greeks today. Nobody has to threaten you into becoming a Roman or romanticized. Men are into the Latin and you're a Roman today. Nobody has to threaten you to be something that you're not because you already accepted what you're not. You're already an Afro-American, an African-American, a black, jigaboo, spirit chucker, coon, grease monkey. You already what they call you. You everything except the Most High's chosen. So this right here,
you really are.
Right. So this is running on automatic. No need to torture you anymore. Go ahead.
And don't act like Mally is making this up or he's speaking out the side of his neck. Because listen, I said Willie Lynch when I left. Go back and read his right. It's free download PDF online right now. Listen, the job was to do what? To put in automatic. How to make a slave for how long? 400 years of that.
Yeah.
Right? So you destroy the man. How you destroy the man? You take the strongest of man and you torture him, and they usually tie the horses around him, like them what you just read, and dislocated all his joints and killed him in front.
Breaking the book.
Then, Willie, listen, if you follow Hidden Colors, you also know that was a major homosexual act performed on a black man to diminish his strength, his power, his character, right? And that's what you see right here, how this tyrant kept quoting on a handsomeness, right? And then you see right here that at this point, the woman would do what? Train the woman to be independent and totally dependent on the white man. You claim independent, but I want the white man job, the white man money, the white man welfare, the white man housing, the white man Medicare, the white man Medicaid. I want the white man all that. So I don't need no man. Even though she still need a man, but it's the evil. Right? Then to cast him out, make him strong but weak. You see what I'm saying?
This is what we
then where you are today, fast forward to the Pruitt-Igoe projects and other projects that they funded, where even the rats was white and all that's about history. Like they done re-implemented this plan over and over and over again with the Section 8 housing, ghettos and projects, bro. They've been running the same game, like Mally said, it's on automatic now. You ain't gotta tell a woman to put her man away. She on that shit out the gate.
So this very same psychology, regardless if you believe that the Willie Lynch letter is real or not. Look, regardless if you believe that or not, the psychology that these heathens was using 2,000 years ago has been perpetrated on you in this captivity, in this dispensation. All right? It ain't hard to find. All you got to do is find the instruments of torture, the cauldrons. Brothers been burned alive, and sisters, joint dislocators, racks and hooks, catapults, thumb screws, iron claws, wedges, and bellows. All right, so then he tells them again, be afraid. Young fellows, whatever justice you worship, whatever God you serve will be merciful to you when you transgress under compulsion. When we put you through this bodily pain, whatever God you worship, I guarantee he'll forgive you. Now, this is your enemy trying to tell you about the character of your God. Huh? And he's operating through fear. Y'all, once you're not a slave to fear,
you win it.
You're truly free at that point.
You win it.
Exactly. Let's get to this next one. We down in fourth book of Maccabees. I just know he got a 15 in front of it. All right. Absolutely. We underneath the. Let me say the section. We underneath the section. We in chapter 8, fourth book of Maccabees, chapter 8. 7 brothers defy the tyrant, and we down in verse 15. Go ahead, Nick.
So this is what they said about the wild man, as the scriptures talk about, right? Why? Let me tell y'all something. Why they don't mess with the Arab man like they don't mess with y'all? Like they mess with the black woman, or try to defy the black family. Why? Because we read in the psychology of martyrdom, listening to TED Talk, right? He understands something you don't understand. If you have my fault, you have lost. We have lost because that man had put on a strap. They even ran a video game with a simulation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When if you gonna touch one of these Arab women or his children,
bro, it'd be World War III.
What? By himself?
Yeah.
By himself?
Yeah, not playing with you.
I don't need nothing.
Man, look.
Nigga, it be I go to the police station. I don't want about bitches, bro.
Hey, he like, look, we finna go them ways.
Oh, we going away.
See, you can't defeat nothing like that. Once
you take death,
yeah.
There you go. You own this.
Once the fear of death is off the table, you're truly free. You're no longer in bondage. No matter how much technology your enemy has over you, once the fear of death is off the table, you're truly free.
And if he kills you before you get to him, he martyred you anyway.
They can never conquer a mindset like that. And see, and that's what's needed. You need a radical mindset to defeat this tyrant. You can't defeat this tyrant singing Kumbaya and running
listening to him
and singing under the mistletoe. You know what I mean? And singing Christmas carols and having what they call peaceful protests. You're not going to win nothing like that. To defeat a heathen that is dead set on destroying you, you got to be just as radical in mindset. Even if you're outgunned, you can't defeat a mindset that say, look, I don't care if I live or die. One thing you gonna know what you're gonna do?
You gonna know I was here.
You gonna respect me. You gonna respect me. You ain't gotta like me, but you gonna respect that I got a job by myself. Boy, and it's a million more behind me willing to do the same thing.
So doing this thing, Feast of Dedication.
Yeah.
Then we had this great, glorious story, not just with Eleazar, may the Lord bless his memory and his soul.
Absolutely.
Not just mother and the 7 sons, may the Lord bless their memory and their soul.
Absolutely.
But even the house of Maccabee, them cats didn't have no swords, no weapons, no horse.
Some of the battles they did.
What?
A lot of them they did, but it was a few battles they was totally weaponless, and they still won.
What? Bro, you can't beat a man like that.
You can't beat a man that's like, look, for the death. Well, what is that? We embrace.
You ain't giving me nothing I ain't already. Bro, what did Malcolm say? What makes this different than any other day?
Exactly. Yeah.
And look,
but Morpheus, we could die.
Oh yeah, on that too.
On the Matrix.
Bro,
how could that be any different than any other day?
Yes, said that, bro.
Yes, but how would that be any different than any
other day, bro? Listen, man. Malcolm said, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That boy was caught.
Yeah, absolutely.
That man said,
guy is 39 years old.
You got all this blood for Vietnam. When it come to killing, fighting for the man, you got all that blood. When it come to blowing up your churches in your neighborhood and killing your kids, you ain't got no blood. He said, nigga, if anything rises against me, nigga, that gun in the hand, and I'm on blast.
Hey, it's what it is, bro.
Martyrdom, bro. We need to, If we as a nation move like this, the whole world start bowing down on one knee. One, they know they owe it to you anyway.
Exactly.
But they bow because the world was meant to serve you anyway, Israel.
Exactly. Look at this, verse 15. But when they had heard his inducing words and saw the dreadful machines of torture, not only were they not afraid, but they also held up their views against the tyrant, which were contrary to his, with their own philosophy, and by their right reasoning nullified his tyranny. They defeated him, right, through their faith and belief. Let us consider, however, what arguments might have been used if some of them had been faint-hearted or cowardly. Look at this. Would they not have gone on like this? We are such stupid wretches if we do not accept such kind treatment and generosity which the king is offering us if we obey him. Well, you heard how weak this sound?
Well, we are such stupid wretches.
Yeah, he said, look, let us consider, however, what arguments might have been used if some of them had been faint-hearted or cowards.
You don't want that to reign through history.
Oh, wait. Would they not have gone on like this? We are such stupid wretches.
That's a position of the argument.
Yeah, we are such stupid wretches if we do not accept such kind treatment and generosity which the white man is offering us if we obey him. Why do we take pleasure in vain decisions and venture upon a disobedience that brings death? Men, brothers, should we not fear the instruments of torture and consider the threats of torments and give up this vain, worthless opinion and this arrogance that threatens to destroy us? Let us take pity on our youth and have compassion on our mother's age. And let's take it to heart that if we disobey, we are dead. If we disobey the white man, we are dead. Also, divine justice will excuse us for fearing the white man, since, after all, we are under compulsion. Why should we banish ourselves from this life of satisfaction and deprive ourselves of this sweet world? Let us not struggle against compulsion or hold to useless ideas in view of the torture rack before us. Not even the law itself would intentionally put us to death for fearing these instruments of torture. Why should we be so absorbed in contentiousness? Why you gotta be so radical, Nehemiah, or so attracted to fatal endurance when we can live in peace?
In peace with our white man.
If we can live in peace, if we obey the white man.
I can't do it.
Oh, man.
And look, that's them in the conversation. Look, let's run a scenario if I did fall in line.
Right.
What would be said? That's what would be said.
Yeah.
And not just that, you would have taught a nation of young men and young people and the Israelites of ages to come to bow down and submit to the disorder. And that's out of order. Especially when you get up there and deal with it. We ought to drink of her blood.
This is crazy. You see how they said, now look, the conversation might have went like this among themselves if they was cowards. But we know how the story turned out, don't we?
Got they ink, baby.
27, righteousness is immortal. Remember that. But the young men, though about to be tortured, uttered no such words, nor did they entertain such thoughts. For they despised the passions and ruled over pain. They despised the passions and ruled over pain. So that as soon as the tyrant had ceased counseling them to eat unclean food, they all with one voice together, as from one mind, said, "Oh, this is going down, boy." Well, that fourth Maccabees, you need to get into it. It's a very, very thorough commentary on what happened to the mother and 7 sons. This is what they said on one accord. "Why do you delay, tyrants? For we are ready to die."
Yeah.
We are ready to die rather than to transgress our ancestral commandments. But this is in our DNA, y'all. This passed down from our forefathers. This passed down from the Garden of Eden. This passed down from our forefather Adam. Huh? We are ready to die rather than transgress our ancestral commandment. This is not DNA, Jack. This is who we are. The Most High is in our DNA. We are his children. We are of him. And if that ain't what it is, we might as well be dead. What you mean?
Off what I heard is the order of Melchizedek.
Season my neck.
Yeah, you gotta put some sauce on.
Get ready for the guillotine. Now look at this. For we would truly be bringing shame on our ancestors. See, that's what I'm saying. What you mean? Yeah, well, it ain't about your ancestors. Well, how come it ain't?
That rate, man. That ain't us, man. It don't matter.
How come it ain't about all that? Hold on. You do say you worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Ain't them your ancestors? What you mean about our forefathers that came before us?
What about them spirits up under the altar?
It's all about them.
Oh, okay.
We would truly be bringing shame on our ancestors.
Who gave their head?
If we do not live in obedience to the law and take Moshe as our counselor, tyrant and counselor of lawlessness. If your hatred for us do not pity us more than we pity ourselves, in your hatred for us, do not pity us more than we pity ourselves. For we consider this pity of yours, which ensures our safety through transgression of the law, to be more grievous than death itself.
Read for again, for we consider this pity of yours, which ensures our safety, which is a illusion, through transgression of the law, which is Hellenized damnation, to be grievous,
more grievous
than death itself. Because listen, this is only a partiality of life. Eternal life is totality of life. I let y'all just
They saying you can save your little pity, chump.
Sucker. At the sucker.
No, today like boy,
at the sucker.
At the sucker, chump
sucker.
Chump sucker.
At the sucker.
You can keep all your little pity, huh? Because we consider that more grievous than death. Today they call that blowing smoke up your rear end.
And we ain't doing
it. Yeah, that's called fake humility.
Fake.
He said, for we consider this pity of yours, which ensures our safety through transgression of our ancestral law, to be more grievous than death itself. You seek to terrify us by threatening us with death by torture, as though a short time ago you learned nothing from Eliezer.
Ooh, so the elder already gone, they still propping him up.
They like, look,
they ain't even days out.
You ain't learned nothing from the elder.
You ain't learned nothing from him.
The elder didn't break.
We own him. Oh, hold on. You can cut this bloodline off. We got the bloodline of the king. Shut him down.
One thing you never destroy is our spirit. And spirits come back.
Bodies break.
Yeah.
And they die.
Yeah.
Spirits are eternal.
That's right.
And righteousness is what?
Immortal. Believe that. So he said, you learn nothing from Eliezer. But if the aged man of the Hebrews.
Of the who?
Hebrews.
Of the who?
Hebrews. Because of their holiness, live righteously while enduring torture.
Righteous is what?
Immortal.
So torture can hurt righteousness?
Nah, again.
Never.
Live righteously while enduring torture. It would only be right that we young men should die in disregard of your coercive tortures, which our elderly instructor also overcame. Therefore, tyrants, put us to the test. And if you take our lives because of our godliness, do not suppose you can injure us with your torments. For we, through this severe suffering and endurance, shall have the prize of virtue and shall be with the Most High, on whose account we suffer. But you, because of your thirst for our blood, will undergo a time of fiery torment by divine justice. Oh, wait. Speak to me, man. That's enough.
Bro.
Dang, okay.
No. I mean, what I'm saying, bro. This is what I'm saying, bro. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Hey, that's hard, boy.
Bro. He just said, listen, they. You can run all that muck you want to run, but if you take our lives because of our godliness, that's what you gave us, ain't nothing.
Ain't nothing.
We wrestling with Elohim. Your ain't white, but your torment, since you're a master torment.
Yeah.
Since you the master torment.
Boy, you got torment coming.
Boy, you got an eternal torment coming. That ain't even have a candle to what you want. And then you heard David making prayers like those who make a trap or a snare for me. Let them fall into that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bro,
absolutely.
I'm telling you, bro.
Break
so
the
watching
jaws.
the print.
Yeah,
break
the
the
jaws
jaw.
of the wicked. Deliver the spoil out of his teeth. Yeah.
Bro, you start to see a pattern. Though.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You
There's
got
a righteous pattern.
Man, look, you gotta fight. You gotta fight that fire with fire dealing with this heat. Period.
Stop listening to your enemy telling you to be peaceful when he was never peaceful and nothing he conquered.
That's right.
And listen, if your Messiah, hold on, I'm gonna challenge y'all for more. That's what I'm gonna do. If your Messiah coming back and he says it's gonna be blood up to the horse's bridle, what you scared?
Man, look.
It's a point of every man one time to do what? Live forever?
No.
One time to die. Get your ink. If you die for my name, you got a crime.
Man, might as well. I mean, what's the problem?
I mean, you gonna die. Man, listen to me, bro. You be in that torture chamber and they caught you dead right that you, I'm a Hebrew. But then when you get that, the actual thing is going down, well, I can eat the meat, I can live. No, bro. No.
You see how serious this walk is?
Bro.
This walk is beyond.
Because the meat eaters can do what? Go ahead and go free. Denounce your ancestral law, eat the meat, and you are free. No, bro. No. And we think that this thing we talking about now is something new. It's old. We talking about like something now, like it ain't real. Your diet, because you are the temple, something that God knew long before you. I am in your dwelling place.
That's right.
I can't be there if it's defiled.
That's right.
Man, bro.
No way.
Bro.
Let's get to it. Bro. Reasons. Yeah, I mean, you did say you wanted to stop it right now, but let's get.
Yeah, you need the reasons for that.
Yeah, let's read this, and then we can, depending on how you're feeling after we read this paragraph, then But this right here is reasons. We jump it down. We jump it down to chapter 13, I believe this is. 4th book of Maccabees.
It's the link I sent out yesterday.
Yep. I just put it up in the chat too a few times. All right. Reason, sovereignty in the set. All right. Meaning their strong moral conviction and their faith, you dig, was more powerful than the fear of death. And threat of death, right?
And it's crazy because I ain't the only so-called street dude in this congregation. I ain't the only so-called think I'm the hardest thing on this planet in this congregation of believers. We all set our mouth to hold it down. Stand up. More so for the Most High. You did it for all the corner wilds of the world. My woman, my money, my food, my bag, my car, my jewelry.
I mean, all of it. I mean, even if you ain't no street dude, I'm pretty sure you got something in your life you willing to die for. You know what I mean? Children, grandbabies. I mean,
absolutely.
Regardless of your job, it's all type of things that you feel a very strong affinity for, to where you understand you be willing to lay your life down for. You know what I mean? And that is every spectrum of life. So ask yourself that if there is something that you're willing to lay your life down and die for, but when it comes down to your creator, you fumbling.
Same thing.
You second guessing. Like, what is that about then? Like who are you really? You dig? Now look at it. Now then, since the 7 brothers despise sufferings even unto death, everyone must concede that devout reason is sovereign over the passions.
Back on that again.
It gotta be.
It got they learn from their teacher.
That's right.
And then they say he failed. What word they use? he overcame.
Yeah, and he never. So he lived unto the Most High. He didn't die.
We read that
You look at that like it's death. This is life. Because righteousness is immortal, right? Now he's saying, now then, since the 7 brothers despise sufferings, even unto death, everyone must concede that devout reason is sovereign over the passions. Meaning your faith, your belief, your conviction, guess what? Can conquer the threat and the fear of death. Absolutely. Absolute pain. Absolutely. For if they had been slaves to their passions or afraid of death, afraid of pain, and had eaten unclean food, we would say that they had been conquered by these passions. They had been conquered by pain. They had been conquered by the fear of death. But in fact, it was not so. Instead, by reason, which is praised by the Heavenly Father, they prevailed over their passions. They prevailed or got the victory over death. They got the victory over the fear of pain. So then, one is not to ignore this chief command of the mind. One is not to ignore this chief command of the mind. Faith, for it rules over both passions and sufferings. How then can one fail to confess the rulership of sound reason over the passions in these men, seeing that they did not shrink? They did not shrink from the agonies of fire. Huh?
And that's right, they had this skillet cauldron.
Man, they fried them brothers, melted their flesh
off their body. Could you imagine? Listen, if you want to understand what happened, I know a lot of us ain't here and eat meat. But if you want to just see it, do you remember when you had that fried bologna sandwich? Do you remember that little squeeching sound? Bro, I'm telling you, I know. Hey. You put that fried bologna in that skillet, that thing get that hump real quick.
Hey.
Honey, hump in the middle?
Yeah, the hump in the middle.
And it was black all the way around.
The edges, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And then you try to flip it to balance it out. Imagine that type of meat, which is your human meat, sticking
to the fat. That cauldron so big your body can fit in. What is you talking about?
And listen, and they never winked toward righteousness.
That deal said right there. How then can one fail to confess the rulership of sound reason over the passions in these men, seeing that they did not shrink from the agonies of fire? For just as towers jutting out over harbors hold back the threatening waves and make it calm for those who sail into the inner basin, so the seven towered right reason of the youths, by fortifying the harbor of holiness, conquered the tempest of the passions, for they constitute a holy course of godliness, as they encourage one another, saying, Akim, Akyam, brethren, let us die like brothers for the sake of the law. Let us imitate the 3 youths in Assyria who despise the same ordeal of the furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No? Let us not be cowardly in the demonstration of the true faith.
Bro, I told you it's a pattern, bro. I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm watching this, bro. Yeah. It's a pattern. Like today, I might be, it ain't saying something I ain't been seeing, but I'm actually seeing it a little bit more clear is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
There's a pattern.
It is. It is.
How do they go way back to a time of times?
You got
the times of days.
You reading the code of the Matrix, brother. Yeah.
Oh,
you reading the codes
now. Okay.
So they encouraged each other going into that cauldron like, hey, man up. So we about to get our glory.
You know, today we'll be like, oh, they're my babies. I don't want my babies to hurt. Go ahead, babies. Eat that little meat because Mama don't want you to die.
Nah. Let us not be cowardly in the demonstration of true faith. Courage, brother, said one. And another said, hold on nobly. And another reminded them, remember whence you came. Remember who you are, where you come from. And the father by whose hand Isaac would have willingly been sacrificed for the sake of holiness.
Boy, it's a pattern, bro. I'm telling you.
That's right.
He calling out patterns.
That's right. Each one separately and all of them together.
There I go.
And all of them together.
Please read that again. 13, please.
Each one separately and all of them together, looking at one another with a cheerful demeanor, aglow with courage, said, let us consecrate ourselves. Let us make ourselves holy to the Most High with all our hearts. He gave us our lives, and let us use our bodies as a bulwark for the law. Let us not fear him who intends to kill us. For great is the struggle of the psyche. Great is the struggle of the mind, and the danger of a time of torment which lies before all those who transgress the commandment of the Most High.
So listen, he said, you don't want to be down that pike when that judgment coming down.
That's right. That's right.
Transgress that tyrant or that heathen or your oppressor. What you don't want to do is transgress your old age wife.
That's right. Therefore, let us put on the full armor of self-control. What? See how they clothing themselves? Strong mind, full faith, strong conviction. Die before they go against it. That's who the Most High is looking for.
Could you imagine sitting there with your mother and seeing brother after brother after brother killed? Listen, I'm talking about, let's put on the full horrifics. Can I? Imagine seeing your brother go before you and you know you hearing the sizzling of his skin. You know he crying out. He accepted his punishment. He took the torment, but bro, pain is pain. So he's gonna cry out. He did. No. What I'm saying is to see that and to have a mother encourage you to be just as strong. And then the next brother encourage the next brother, encourage the next brother to be as strong. Even in Mashiach, if this cup could be packed, you know what? Not my will, but your will. For an entity that never passed, nothing fucked up. Excuse my language. Hunger, you know what I'm saying? Poor, displaced, nothing. Mashiach didn't have nothing in this plane. He traveled. He was nomadic, what you would call it today in our terms. All I'm saying is, bro, there's a pattern. If we really watching, it was just announced, there's a pattern. I pray I hope I'm this strong, bro. Because we all can say what we going to say until that day comes. Or I pray I rock it all the way through. I pray I rock it all the way through.
Absolutely.
I pray y'all rock it through too. Because there's a greater reward on the other end, bro. And then say like Isaac, bro. You see the pattern? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Pattern. You seeing patterns. Christ himself. Patterns.
Absolutely.
Boy, martyrdom is a part of Israel's heritage, baby.
It's just what it is, bro. You know what I mean? Now look at this. Therefore, let us put on the full armor of self-control, which is divine reason. For if we so die, Abraham and Isaac and Yaakov will receive us, and all of our ancestors will praise us. See that? Get you some ink, baby. What's up? And to each one of the brothers as they were dragged away, those who were left said, do not shame us,
Brother.
Do not shame us, brother, or betray the brothers who have died before us.
Go the same way.
You are not ignorant of the affection of family ties, which the divine and all-wise providence has allotted through the fathers to their descendants, and which was implanted in the mother's womb. There each of the brothers spent the same length of time and was shaped during the same period of time, and growing from the same blood and through the same life, they were brought to the light of day. When they were born after an equal time of gestation, they drank milk from the same fountains, and brotherly loving souls are nourished by being embraced at the same breast, and they grow from strength to strength by this common nurture and daily companionship, as well as in the training imposed by our discipline in the law. Therefore, when sympathy and brotherly affection have been so established, the brothers were the more sympathetic to one another, since they had been educated by the same law and trained in the same virtues and brought up in righteousness, they love one another all the more. A common zeal for nobility strengthened their goodwill toward one another and their concord, because they could make their brotherly love more fervent with the aid of their faith. But although nurturing companionship and virtuous habits had strengthened the bond of brotherhood, those who were left endured for the sake of holiness while watching their brothers being maltreated and tortured to death. Nehemiah. Moreover, they encouraged them to face the torture so that they not only despised their agonies, but also mastered the emotions of brotherly love. Oh, reason, more kingly than kings and freer than the free. Oh, reason, more kingly than kings and freer than the free.
Oh, death off the table.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Oh, sacred and harmonious concord of the seven brothers on behalf of faith. Not one of the 7 youths turned coward or shrank from death, but all of them, as though running on the highway to immortality.
Y'all hear that? Ladies, y'all hear that? Boy, that boy said, oh, sacred and harmonious concord of the 7 brothers on behalf of faith. Not one of the 7 youths turned coward or shrank from death.
But all of them,
as though running on the highway of immortality.
To immortality.
Hasten on to death.
What does it mean to hasten?
Fast.
Hurry up. That means
Right
they wasn't ducking none of that, huh?
Not later.
No.
We gotta wait till tomorrow.
No, we're just gonna get this done now. As if they were running on the highway to immortality. Their perspective of what was going on was totally different. They knew they was about to be accepted and by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, accepted by the Almighty. They knew they was about to get immortality. They was about to get their ink forevermore.
And then people, what they said, which we all just read, bro, could you imagine closing your eyes on this side and being welcomed in Abraham's bosom
and praised by them,
bro, by all your ancestors,
like
they had the doorway for you to walk through,
you stood on it.
Like, whoa. Yeah. Excuse me for the analogy of the heathen movie, but it's gonna make sense. Titanic. Remember when the old boy had died, right? When he froze to death and his body sunk to the bottom, right? And then they shifted right back to the Titanic when it was in its glory. Yeah. Because he just died. Now, mind you, the old woman went back. They found the heart or whatever, the jewel. She threw it back in the ocean. Then she went and laid down and died. Then all of them was waiting for her, and she got with Leonardo DiCaprio and all that. And everybody that died from way back then was all in their full glory, clapping their hands because you had made it home.
You came on home.
Came on
home, man.
I want to give my people a visualization and something I saw.
No doubt. Just as the hands and feet are moved in harmony with the promptings of the mind, so those holy youths, as if impelled by the immortal spirit of holiness, agreed to go to death for her sake. Oh, you 7 most holy brothers and harmonious, for just as the 7 days of creation moved in choral dance around holiness, so these youths, forming a chorus, encircled the 7-fold fire of tortures and dissolved it. Even now, as we hear of the sufferings of these young men, we ourselves shudder. They, though, not only saw what was happening, not only heard the direct word of threat, but also bore the sufferings patiently and in agonies of fire at that. What could be more excruciatingly painful than this? For the power of fire is intense and swift, and it consumed their bodies quickly. Oh, we, big brother. Talk to me. We'll come on tomorrow and get into their mother.
That'd be excellent for the fourth day.
Oh, we. Yeah, we talk about
I love the correlation of the 7 days of creation and 7 days.
Yeah, that was cold. That was cold, bro. Oh, wait.
Hey, man, we come from a great people, though.
We do. Stand on it.
And listen, I'm never going to call this cowardness, right? Check what I'm finna say, right? Coming across them aisles and them journeys and them Israelites that chose to die rather than be enslaved, they jumped into the waters and took death.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know what I'm saying? We was never scared of death the way we are today.
You learn fear of death through your enemy. Now, we looked at it like when you look into like the gospel of the Nazarenes and all that, death is the gateway to immortality.
Highway to immortality.
They was running on that deal.
What?
Like, hey, look, man, look.
And I learned this from our elder teacher, Eliezer. So we have a timeline. They died after Eli.
Exactly.
So they got the testimony of Eli running their spirit, along with they was taught by Eli and mom. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Hey, bro, she wasn't scared to let her kids go. Psalms 4.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and pray on out, y'all. We about to face Jerusalem, pray on out. You know what I mean? Day 3, Feast of the Dedication. Right back up tomorrow, day 4. We're going to get into their mother. We're going to get into some more understanding and look, her mindset. Because it tells you in there, you know what I mean? She had a manly stomach. And was like, hey, y'all already know what y'all need to do. She didn't raise them all. Oh, sucker, wooka. Oh, my stinker bud.
My baby.
Oh, you know, come on home so we can eat that. So come on home.
You ain't got that. We'll eat some pork chops.
Be with mama so we can watch us some Netflix tonight. I can give you some chicken noodle super rub, some Vicks vapor rub on you, tuck you in. Nah, bro. They mama went even harder. When we getting at tomorrow, y'all gonna be like, dang, they mama went hard.
Your children ain't yours, man.
Yeah, man.
We belong to a nation, to a people, and to an Elohim, and to a king.
Exactly.
Walk as such.
That's right. That's right. And you got your God, your power got enemies, man. You dig? And always remember this, Zion. To defeat the mindset, to defeat your tyrannical enemy, you got to be just as radical in your mindset and belief of your God. And look, you see how they defeated him? They was captured, so they defeated him by not folding in their belief. Judah Maccabee and them wasn't captured. They went to war with them bastards. They went to war with them. But the ones that got captured, so however you meet your end, eventually Judah Maccabee died on the battlefield.
He did.
You know what I mean? He went out in the blaze of glory himself. You understand? But what's the common denominator? Whether you captured or you free to wage war, the common denominator is, hey, stand on your square, die on it.
Stand on it.
Never compromise, man. Never go against the Most High, ever. You understand? And that's the whole moral of the story. They were captured and had to endure pain and fire. And the truth about this, y'all, they took that cheerfully.
And it was inspired by the Hebrew boys.
They straight said,
from Assyria.
They said, your little pity you got on us, we consider more grievous than death itself. What you talking about you pity us for? Steady calling us handsome. You gotta look, however you meet your end, stand on your belief, stand on your faith. You understand? And may the Most High give you brothers and sisters the courage to stand on up. And trip about this, y'all, get you some ink in the book. Because guess what? Righteousness is immortal. Had they sold out, we would never be reading about it. This went down 2,200 years ago. This went down before even the Messiah was in the earth. Righteousness is immortal. So stand on your square, die on it, but never get up off of it. All praise. Nehemiah, what you got for us? We about to pray on out, y'all. Let's humble our hearts and humble our minds. Thank the Most High for another time to get together and build faith, build courage.
And enjoy this feast, man.
Enjoy this feast.
About to be some food eating going on in a minute.
Living food, that is.
God.
No blood and animals on our plate.
Never. No more.
Yeah, no more animal sandwiches.
Psalms chapter 4. Hear me when I call, O Yah, with my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after falsehood? Say lie.
Say lie.
But know that YHWH'S has set apart him that is righteous for himself.
Hallelujah.
Yah will hear when I call unto him.
That's right.
Stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Say lie.
Say lie.
Offer the sacrifices of righteousness. No meat. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in YHWH'S. There be many that say, who will show us any good? Yah lifted up the light of thy countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in my heart more than in time, and their corn and their wine increased. Verse 8.
Come on.
I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For though Yah only maketh me dwell in safety. Hallelujah! Say la! These songs are popping right in place, ain't they? No, bro, these songs are popping right in place.
Planning them.
You know,
They
1,
pop.
2, 3, 4.
Right.
Bro.
We ain't even planning them deals, boy. They line right up with what we talking about.
It's exactly
That's
what we
I'm saying.
talking about.
Yeah.
We back in alignment, bro.
Back in the line.
Back in alignment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blessings to the house of Nehemiah. All praise, glory now to the Most High. Abundant blessings to all you brothers and sisters. Y'all keep the faith, stand strong. Day 4, the feast of dedication tomorrow. We're going to go into the mother of the 7 sons and more proof that reason over passions, you understand, or your faith over your fears, or spirit over the flesh, you understand, or belief over BS, like I said yesterday. You understand? Will give you the victory in this life. And remember, what we hey, trip up this, y'all. What we do in this life echoes in eternity, baby. Get you some ink. All praise and glory now to the Most High. Love y'all indeed in the truth. Man, Most High send abundant blessings and abundant healings and cancel every sickness and plague amongst all our loved ones. And may he honor every prayer request in this hour. In the power, name, and authority of the creator of heaven and earth, and by the power, name, and authority of his beloved firstborn son. Hallelujah. Until the next time, to the end, my friends. Catch y'all later. Pray for us and we continue to pray for y'all. Y'all. Oh, praise.